Hello everyone. I wanted to do a response video to Candice Owens and Ted Lieu. Now before I begin, I just want to make my stance on these two individuals. I am not a fan of Ted Lieu, and I have a video of myself asking a question where he dodges it.
Chris, I have a question. Okay, so let's get this straight. I'm for immigration, but it has to be done legally. And it has to be done at the right appropriate amount. Okay? So, here's the thing. We have to have the right amount of legal immigrants that come in, and regarding to illegal immigration, something has to be done. But here's the best way to do it. The best way to do it is not by walls. The best way to do it is not by forced deportation. The best way is through e-verify, to go after employers. So why don't you join with me, with the 95 million Americans who are out of the labor force, to go after the employers who are hiring illegal immigrants. Because most of the jobs that they do, with the exception of agriculture, are jobs that Americans would take. That is a fact. Many of them are in professional business types of jobs. Go ahead, look it up. And let's e-verify for public services and welfare. Let's stop the anchor baby abuse. That's what's happening in this country.
Thank you.
Are you funded by Wall Street special interests?
Thank you for that question. You are right that the border wall is a really stupid way to try to stop illegal immigration. You're also right that employers are often some of the biggest violators of existing U.S. law. And there was this political cartoon I saw in the newspaper a few years ago, and I always remember it because it had a fence along the border, and there was a sign that said "Keep Out," and then next to it there was a sign that said "Help Wanted."
Help wanted.
So you do have this issue where you have a lot of employers that in fact are violating U.S. law. So I support comprehensive immigration reform.
Yes.
Right? I support comprehensive immigration reform. We are a sovereign nation. I believe that we... Look, do you even know what comprehensive immigration reform is? Let me know what it is. The first thing it says is we're going to secure our borders, all right? All right. Second thing it says is we're going to come up with a plan to deal with the people who are currently here that are not documented and give them a pathway to citizenship. The third thing it says is we're going to reform some of those programs that we have, such as H-1B visa and so on. So that passed the U.S. Senate on a bipartisan basis a few years ago. If that same version of that bill was put in the House, it would also pass. So far, the House Republicans have unwilling to put that version on the floor, but...
That's the Gang of Eight bill, BS.
All right, next one.
This guy, in my opinion, is a liar, very likely to be a con artist, piece of garbage, and only gets pumped because of these lefty California liberals, particularly in the Los Angeles area, many of whom who are white Americans, believe it or not. And this guy is just totally the heart of what's wrong with the Democratic Party. Now, regarding Candice Owens, I will point out that I don't trust her. A lot of these so-called activists or people that are being propped up, I don't trust her. I wouldn't be surprised if she's controlled opposition. Now, having said that, she does expose a lot of truths, double standards, fake social justice warrior issues, and he does talk about how blacks have been ridiculed and pushed around by the Democratic Party for about 5 or 6 decades. Now, it's important to know, why do black Americans vote Democrat? Do you think they're voting just because they're misled? You've got these propagandists like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. That's part of the reason. But another reason is because a large number of black Americans support ideas of affirmative action, which is discrimination against white people and people like myself who are Iranian. They support massive welfare programs, And they support restrictions on free speech, so they can limit on the things that I can say. You can see a lot of these polls. And speaking of welfare, a large disproportionate number of black Americans get welfare. So in other words, if they were to just split and form their own country, their society would probably be in chaos. Now, there are some issues, policy issues, that are directly negatively affecting the black community. You can argue that, well, the single fathers, single moms, you can argue the outsourcing of American jobs, bad banking policy by Wall Street. You can argue that the massive immigration, particularly illegal, has a negative impact on black Americans, the rap music, a lot of different things. But I believe that the reason why that there are differences among blacks and whites is the same reason why we've had it for thousands of years. And based on my analysis, it seems that black Americans are naturally different. Just like why our black Americans are more likely to be athletic and do very well in sports. Well, there seems to be some biological differences. So not all of it is structural misinformation, but let's go on with the clip.
Mr. Chair, in congressional hearings, the minority party gets to select its own witnesses. And of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candice Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. Problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hershenoff. Ms. Owens said, quote, if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?
Well, first of all, let me point something out, that it is true that a lot of people supported Donald Trump because they wanted to make sure that whites are not discriminated, but more importantly, they can solve the immigration and birth rate issue so that whites are no longer the swindling share of the population. In other words, becoming a minority in the United States. So some of that is true. However, a large number, I believe vast majority of people who supported Donald Trump did not support him because of mainly due to demographics. They supported because they were tired of illegal immigration, and illegal is any race, and they are tired of this country being sold out to globalists, namely the outsourcing and just a lot of this foreign influence that's happening with our country. We're a sovereign nation and we deserve to have borders. Now, you can argue that race was somewhat of a factor in Donald Trump, just like it was under Hitler, but there are many vast differences among those two politicians. And nevertheless, of course, Donald Trump has supported the Jewish community heavily, and Adolf Hitler has not. So, just because it may feel and sound similar, yeah, Trump and Hitler are rounding people up, doesn't mean that they are the same deal. So this is just very misleading. Again, these politicians are using these propaganda mouthpieces to obviously discourage people from knowing the truth. It's called political correctness, and that's the point. So you never figure out what's going on.
It does, Mr. Lieu. I know that Ms. Owens distanced herself from those comments later, but we expressed great concern over the original comments.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, I'm sorry, we just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Lieu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
Witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. You didn't listen to what I said. May I continue? As I said,
now they're putting words in their mouths.
Black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully extracted, he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that Hitler was whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
Thanks, Mrs. Owens, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Gentleman yields back.
Okay, so you have to understand that
to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended.
If you believe that, first of all, Trump is a white nationalist, you have to understand that, first of all, it's European Americans that built and shaped this country. And this country is not going to be the same when Europeans go away, because if you keep importing people from other countries recklessly, you're going to get a different country, especially from impoverished countries, and you're going to bring their problems. So I think many minorities are figuring out the fact that these demographic changes are not going to help them either. But anyway, the problem is that these Democrats particularly are just totally spinning people off, pushing people around, and getting away with it. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day, you can prove any shape or form of way that you're not a racist. Because again, the real issue is that the people, particularly on the left, they are, of course, the ones who are providing unequal standards, equity, affirmative action, because that's what they are trying to do. So this is the thing that you have to understand. But anyway, this guy, Ted Lieu, is a piece of garbage, okay? And I just don't understand why many of his followers do not wake up and realize what's going on. And hopefully I will confront him pretty soon. But this guy is using this as a propaganda tool to also, I believe, prevent the attention from going to the border. Because they do want open borders. They want to flood people as much as they can. And even if they do it legally, they're going to do it in a fashion that's not a very merit structure system. So, because Ted Lieu knows that massive immigration is propping up California. They're propping up the voting base. They're propping up their agendas, their high home prices, and all this other nonsense and cronyism. Because if you were to shut down all immigration, California would really suffer and have possibly a true population decline. So anyway, this is my take, and hopefully you get it. Hopefully you share this video. Thank you so much. Take care. Have fun.